Hi, everybody. We have a cozy group today. Maybe you should come a little forward so that the people who have softer voices don't have to scream their parents. Good. I always like...
I was sitting in the back because I'm so tall.
Happy National Poetry Month.
Yay!
I almost didn't make it back from Florida in time, but I'm so glad to be here. Did you notice today the sun is out?
Yeah.
You take credit for that.
And I also want to say something else. I'm not taking credit for this, but I want to share it with you because this is a smaller group than we've had some years. But I want to tell you that according to the Wall Street Journal, Adam Kirsch, if anybody knows that writer, the reading of poetry has increased by 76% between 2012 and 2017. There are more places to read a poem. There are more groups. There is poetry everywhere on the web. So that's a good thing. So we don't need this group as much as we used to. Aren't you glad? Most of the time people want to come and read a poem, but once in a while, you know, I have to do like that. But anyway, I'm glad you're all here. It's good to see you all, new faces and old. And I want to say, as I do every year, thank you to the Lunenburg Library for supporting poetry. And this year we have a new director, Muir Hammond, who has agreed to read a poem. And that's why I asked my dear daughter Marie, who is director of the Clinton Library, if she would join in and read a poem. And because she's a wonderful daughter, she even got her daughter to read a poem. I'm happy about that.
Actually, I'm reading too. Just so you know.
Oh, she's reading too.
They're short though.
Anyway, thank you all for being here. And I want to start with my poem. Sometimes, some years it's too crowded, I can't read a poem. But I took this one because it's going to give me an opportunity to say thank you to somebody. This poem was written for me, which I considered a great honor. The only other person who ever wrote me a poem was my husband. Of course, I loved his poems. But this is a poem, I'll read it and then tell you who wrote it. To a friend in Florida. I'll do cold for you, and don't worry, the sleet is handled. Unseasonal thaw followed by 10 inches of snow. Winds that whistle straight down from freezing stars. Old man sun tottering along the icy sidewalks. Penitential sheets and power outage. I'm on it. For your part, just keep a warm thought for me here in the north, and we'll call the barter even. Now that is Kate Chadbourne, who is going to give us music later, and she has already. So that is why I wanted to start with that one. I do have a list of people who are going to read, and some of them, unfortunately, are ill or can't carry through. Perhaps Marie would like to be first. Marie, I just pretended that. Yay!
I'm not sure I like that.
Who's doing it for you? Okay, so I told my mom that part of coming to the poetry thing, I like listening to people have to say about their poems. And so, when I was 20, my mom gave me this poetry book, which is not this one, by Judith York, called something about being 20. And so I found one recently, Forever 50, and I'm finally old enough to read it. So yay me. Oh wait, you say you want to know how old I am? I don't mind telling my age. I honestly don't mind telling my age, but why are you asking? I don't pretend I'm still young. I don't expect to be thought of as young, so why are you asking? I never lie about my age. It's undignified to lie about age. So why are you asking? We're only as old as we feel. You know, we're only as old as we feel. So why are you asking? I'm told I look good for my age. I'm often told I look good for my age. No, why are you asking? No, I'm not ashamed of my age. And if you insist, I'll tell you my age. You're what? Still asking?
Thank you, Marie. Next, I think Muir, you could be next. I don't know what kind of poetry you're writing. You write poetry too, don't you?
I want to have a chance.
You have a chance to come right up and...
Thank you. I do write poetry here and there. I've also taught poetry in the past, and this poem that I'll read is one that I always read to my classes or my workshops. It's Jack Gilbert from his collection, The Great Fires. It's called Married. I came back from the funeral and crawled around the apartment, crying hard, searching for my wife's hair. For 2 months, got them from the drain, from the vacuum cleaner, under the refrigerator, and off the clothes in the closet. But after Japanese women came, there was no way to be sure which were hers, and I stopped. A year later, repotting Michiko's avocado, I find a long black hair tangled in the dirt.
Very, very nice. You had me almost crying there.
Don't read it without crying.
Thank you. How about Richard? Could you be next?
I thought I was the pinch hitter at the very end.
There's enough time for everybody to read.
Many of you realize that I enjoy the sport of baseball. I like to read about it, write about it, even read a poem about it. So Dick Flavin, who was a historian for the Red Sox for many, many years, wrote a book of Red Sox rhymes, and I'm going to try to entertain you with this one. To the tune of She's a Grand Old Flag. She's a grand old wall, 37 feet tall, with a scoreboard that functions by hand. She's got seats up top, leaning over a sharp stop. A good view, that's the best in the land. She's a great landmark, dominating the park, the most famous in all baseball. The great, great monster of Fenway Park. There's none like the grand old wall.
I like that. Thank you. I never know what anybody is going to read. And today, you know, it's kind of upsetting. How about Donna Brown, a new friend? There she is.
An old friend.
I want to tell you how this poem came to be. I met her, or re-met her, when I was in Florida at a party. Because what happens, if you live in Florida too many winters, there's too much social. So whenever I had an opportunity, I would ask somebody who seemed to be interested in poetry if where they lived. Oh, of course I know a Donna. Anyway, you're on, Donna. I feel like I'm following some pros here. You're all doing so great. This is my first time reading, and I'm reading Khalil Gibran because I read his stuff all the time. It's always so appropriate to my life. And this one is not funny, but it's appropriate to right now because I just moved back here and I'm still unpacking boxes of clothes.
So this is on clothes. And the weaver said, "Speak to us of clothes." And he answered, "Your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. And though you seek in garments the freedom of privacy, you may find in them a harness and a chain. With that you could meet the sun and wind with more of your skin and less of your raiment. For the breath of life is in the sunlight, and the hand of life is in the wind. Some of you say, 'It is the north wind who has woven the clothes we wear.' And I say, 'Hey, it was the north wind. But shame was his loom, and the softening of the sinews was his thread. And when his work was done, he laughed in the forest. Forget not that modesty is for a shield against the eye of the unclean. And when the unclean shall be no more, what were modesty but a fetter and a fouling of the mind? And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair."
Thank you very much, Donna. That one, author gives me pause because I visited my mother every day when she was dying. And during those 3 months, one of the things I did with her was read poetry. But she would, ask me to read from that book. And then sometimes if she didn't quite get it, she would say, "Could you read that again?" And I agree with Donna. It is a book that can be read over and over again, and we always pick up new ideas. Thank you, Donna. Fred, you're not even down here. Oh, yes, you are. Fred Hinchcliffe is a very loyal Louise Bogan poet. He comes even when it's a great deal to come because he doesn't live in town. And when I go to Florida, he takes over. So I'm very, very glad to introduce Fred.
Thank you. All right, this is by Mary Oliver, and her poetry is very usually straightforward and approachable, which is why I like it. But yet it's like fine architecture. You look underneath it a bit, and you begin to see some of the sophistication that took to get to this point. So this is called Breakage by Mary Oliver. I go down to the edge of the sea. How everything shines in morning light. The cusp of the whelk, the broken cupboard of the clam, the opened blue mussels, moon sails, pale pink and marble scarred, and nothing at all whole or shut, but tattered, split, dropped by the gulls onto the gray rocks, and all the moisture gone. It's like a schoolhouse of little words, thousands of words. First you figure out what each one means by itself, the jingle, the periwinkle, the scallop full of moonlight. Then you begin, slowly, to read the whole story.
Thank you, Fred. Personally, I really, really enjoy short poems. It's a function of my own brain, I guess. I just get lost if it gets too long. So for a reading, sometimes here we've had readings where people carry on and they lose me. So this group so far, I really, really appreciate it. We have all the time in the world. The next reader is Katrina Muller. And I just want to say, before she gets up, you can clap after she reads. Katrina, when she was a very small girl, would stand up here like this and read to us. And here she is, a young woman back. I'm so happy.
I abstract writers or something, so look at me go. I'm going to read like 2 things. One of them I have memorized because when I was a little kid, my grandmother liked to have me memorize stuff. And earlier today she's like, you want to read something? And I was like, sure, I guess. I don't know what I should read. She goes, read that thing that I made you memorize a long time ago. Turns out I remember it. I think the title is My Candle Burns at Both Ends. So, my candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But on my foes and oh my friends, it burns a lovely light. That's all there is to it.
Well done.
I gotta say I'm proud. But this is another one that I found earlier. There are mountains growing beneath our feet that cannot be contained. All we've endured has prepared us for this. Bring your hammers and fists. We have a glass ceiling to shatter. Let's leave this place ruthless.
I have to sneak the hugs these days, so that was really Thank you, Ben. Susan. Susan has not, she's been here before in the audience, but she has not read for us, have you? Susan is very ambitious in that she leads a group every other week. So she knows a lot of poets, a lot of poems, and she writes beautifully.
I paid her a lot of money. This is my 4th book, and the last poem in it is for Pam and Bede, who live in New Zealand. And my husband and I stayed with them. They're his cousins. And the rest of the book is very cranky and very painful, and this is called Keepsake. Let the green hills ease the landscape of your mind. Turquoise waters cleanse remorse, round back to streams that flow to the Tasman Sea, where you float on your back, your hair spread like sunset. Let the song of the tuis sweeten your dreams, fill you with notes you can hear always. Secure a place for you in the sounds of Earth shifting in her orbit. Let the circle be of bone, be the life you will not regret. The curves and turnings, its rivers and backflashing streams. Carry with you mountains, green and slate, oceans of variegating blues, soft gray shades and shadows of clouds, air like breath of trees. Where else in earth do bees reach so deeply into gold?
Thank you, Susan, and I hope you'll come again.
I'll try to. Thank you for asking.
Tim? Ted?
Hi,
You have something to read?
the village blacksmith, is that okay?
Sure, whatever. Tim Ted, you know, I call him Tim Ted because he was introduced.
Sign myself,
Tim.
Holmes Tim Ted.
Tim.
So I do have 2 names and I use them both.
He's the one spoken for.
So I was going to read my own stuff, but I decided not to because he said not to. He said read a formula. So, I don't know, this poem was introduced to me as a kid, and it just got me then, still gets me. It's like a song I can hear a million times, I still like it. It's The Village Blacksmith by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and he has a museum in Cambridge. If you're in Cambridge and feel like strolling over there, there's a wonderful, it's called, kept by the Parks Department. It's near Harvard Square, and you can see all the ups and downs of his life, and they explain it, and you can see a lot about the guy. So it's really worthwhile from Cambridge to go to the Longfellow Museum. The Village Blacksmith. Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. Thus smith, a mighty man, is he, with large and sinewy hands. and the muscles of his brawny arms are as strong as iron bands. His hair is crisp and black and long. His face is like the tan. His brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns what air he can and looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellows blow. You can hear him swing his heavy sledge with measured beat and slow. Like a sexton, ring the village bell when the evening sun is low. And children coming home from school looking at the open door, they love to see the flaming forge and hear the bellows roar and catch the burning sparks that fly like chaff from a threshing floor. He goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach. He hears his daughter's voice singing in the village choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. It sounds to him like her mother's voice, singing in the village choir, singing in paradise. He needs must think of her once more, how in the grave she lies, and with his hard, rough hand, he wipes a tear out of his eyes. Toiling, rejoicing, sorrowing, onward throughout life he goes. Each morning sees some task begin, each evening sees it close. Something attempted, something done, has earned a night's repose. Thanks to thee, my worthy friend, for the lesson thou hast taught. Thus, in the flaming forge of life, our fortunes must be wrought. Thus, on a sounding anvil shape, each burning deed and thought.
Thank you, Tim. Ted. So far, the poems are really good and interesting. I really like this particular evening of reading poetry because I don't know ahead of time what anybody's going to read. And it kind of tickles my ear. Laurie. That's Laurie Dunham is also a Louise Bogan poet, one of our newest poets. And I don't mean to understand it here, but what I want to say, she reminded me just coming out. No, that's okay. We're in need of more poets. I don't know if anybody has a friend who really wants to be part of a group. It's a fun group. We do some different things. We have done outings. We have done vending machine poems. We have done musical poetry. We have done write a poem for a photography exhibit. We have done other things. And we're looking for some new ideas, new blood, some younger people. Not necessarily younger, old, it's fine. That's why you want me, because I was younger, right? Yes. Lori.
Well, I chose this poem because it's about a bear, and this past autumn, I had 3 bears on my porch taking down my bird feeders 2 different nights. I put them all back in it, so now I only hang hummingbird feeders. But Mary Oliver wrote this one. It's called Spring. Mary Oliver actually passed away in January this year, January 17, 2019. She won the National Book Award and Pulitzer Prize, and in 2007, the New York Times described her as far and away this country's best-selling poet. I like her poetry. I'm the second one to read it. Somewhere, a black bear has just risen from sleep and is staring down the mountain. All night in the brisk and shallow restlessness of early spring, I think of her 4 black fists flicking the gravel, her tongue like red fire touching the grass, the cold water. There is only one question: how to love this world. I think of her rising like a black and leafy ledge to sharpen her claws against the silence of the trees. Whatever else my life is, with its poems, its music, its cities, it is also this dazzling darkness coming down the mountain, breathing and tasting. All day I think of her. her white teeth, her wordlessness, her perfect love.
I like Mary Oliver also. I have lots of her books. Is there someone else who wants to read a poem, who hasn't read a poem? Nancy? No? Oh, come on up. She wasn't sure when she came in if she wanted to read a poem. Nancy is another loyal customer of poetry. She comes to this every year, or she has at the beginning. And she's special, a little bit like Ted Tim, because she has memorized. Pardon? Ted, whatever. This is Nancy. And I want to know, I want to tell you, since you spoke up, I want to tell you that your mother and your mother's sister, it doesn't have to be in public. Anyway, they delivered your paper when they were
It's a little different from what you heard tonight. But I dreamt I died the other night, and heaven's gates swung wide, and an angel with a halo bright ushered me inside. And there, to my amazement, stood folks I judged and labeled as quite unfit, of little worth, and spiritually disabled. Indignant words rose to my lips, but never were set free, because everyone was so surprised. No one expected me.
I want Nancy to come back every year and tell us that poem. Well, if there's no one else reading poems, we're going to have a short night, but first...
I'll read one.
Oh, good. You're Diane. Diane
She
did
just gave me this book.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't give it to me. No, she wanted me to look at this book.
Everybody loves Diane because Diane has been helping people for decades, and actually, my mother, who is long dead, I really miss her, but my mother and I went to Diane and took yoga together. And she's still teaching yoga.
All right, so I love cats. I don't know the author. This book was so nicely placed in my lap because of the artwork, and it's a beautiful book. It belongs to Kate. But when I saw this one on cats, I said, oh, I could read that. I have a cat, Charlie, who is just like the cat you're going to hear about. This is by Eleanor Fagion.
That's it.
Okay. Cats sleep anywhere, any table, any chair, top of piano, window ledge, in the middle, on the edge, open drawer, empty shoe, anybody's lap will do. Fitted in a cardboard box, in a cupboard with your frocks. Anywhere, they don't care. Cats sleep anywhere. You're welcome.
That was nice. That's true. Eddie, Lorraine, you want to just here to listen? I appreciate that you come every year to listen. Some.
Seconds.
Pardon me?
We could do seconds.
We could do seconds. Well, if somebody wants to do a second, you want to do a second, Fred? I don't think that the library, huh?
I'd love to, Mr. James.
Did you? Fred, I'm not going to have everybody do seconds, so we're just going to end soon with the library.
Some guys have to go twice.
Oh, so this is, everybody should know this one. So, and I think it's good to read occasionally. This is by Emma Lazarus, the new Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name mother of exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor the Twin Cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied palms, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Thank you, Fred. That was a great place to end. I invite, well, Kate is going to entertain us now with her music, and I invite you all to chat with each other and to enjoy some of the food in the back room. And look at some of the poetry on the table over there that is here in Lunenburg. As they say, they have supported poetry, so they buy it, which is a very good thing. And with that, let's clap for each other.